Hi guys, and welcome to another video. As promised, I am going to discuss the difference and actually comparing and contrast the 407 and the 482 visas, which are the two most common visas being granted to migrant doctors, especially those coming from the Philippines. Okay, and just a disclaimer, I am not an expert on this, nor am I a migration agent or a migration lawyer, okay? I'll just speak purely from personal experience, from gathered facts from reliable sources, and of course, from what we're going to see in this particular website. Now, for all of your visa concerns, visa queries, visa questions, whatsoever, okay, just go to this particular website, emi.homeaffairs.gov.au. So without further ado, let's start with the first visa class. It's the subclass 407, which is the training visa, which I personally have. All right, so just a brief overview of the 407 training visa. The only tenures you must have to be granted this visa is you must be sponsored, you must be nominated, and you must be invited. All right, all of this will be filled in by your potential employer. If you can see, there is no mention of the 2-year section people kept asking me about. All right, so that is the only tenure for the 407 training visa. Plus, it's much cheaper than the 482 visa. For an adult applicant outside Australia, it's only 325 for the main applicant. And the processing times are way faster than that of the 482 visa. Plus, guys, good news and bonus. For those who have families, you can also bring your families even if you're just on a training visa 407. And look at this. Effective immediately, the Australian government is temporarily removing the limit on working hours for all secondary visa holders of a training visa. That means if you take your husband with you, the husband can also work full time. Compared to previously, we have visa condition 8104, wherein there is a work restriction of 40 hours a fortnight. Okay, meaning part time. So you guys can earn more because of the workforce shortages here in Australia. And that's very good news. All right. So just comparing again 407 and 482, generally they're the same. They would allow us for 2 years stay in Australia if you're on a short-term stream 482 visa. The only thing is that the 482 has more power in terms of getting loans, all right, etc., etc. As I've mentioned in my previous vlog. But then again, generally it's the same. And for those of you guys asking me if we can get permanent residency with just a 407 visa, guys, they said yes. I believe we already have had a seminar with my employer, with also a migration lawyer, telling us that as long as we get the general registration in APRA, because that is our skills assessment as doctors from abroad, okay, then we would be able to apply for ourselves a 189 or a 190. Or if your employer would sponsor you, you can apply for a 186 permanent residency visa. But unless you get the general registration, be it you're on a 407 or a 482 visa, nothing is gonna happen. So you have to make that step. Okay, it's either you take the workplace-based assessment or you take the step 2 or the clinical examinations. All right, so moving forward with the visa pricing estimator, because I kept saying that visa 407 is much cheaper than the 482. So this one is the visa pricing estimator, also from that particular website. You can see above. Okay. So say for example, we are lodging a visa today, December 11, with a primary applicant outside Australia. Okay. How many additional applicants will be 18 years of age or older when you lodge your application? Say, for example, you're just a family of three, you are this primary applicant, and you have a partner or a husband. And how many additional applicants are 18 younger? Okay, say, for example, you have a toddler. So that's a family of three. Now, I think they're asking if the primary applicant is in Australia or other applicants is in Australia. Is that because it's a lot more expensive? I'm not particularly sure why, but yep, that's it. So, say for example, the currency would be Philippine peso. Now, for a rough estimate, and actually, this is an actual estimate of how much you're going to pay for the 407 visa for a family of three. So, this is you as the main applicant, this is for your husband or your partner, and this is for the toddler. So, just for a visa 407 with a grant of 2 years, um, living and working in Australia, you would only have to pay for 29,500 pesos. But of course, you guys, you would have to maintain a health insurance, a private health insurance, and prior to being granted to this, you and your family must have excellent health examinations. Okay, so you would need to have that as well. All right, let's now head on to the subclass 482, which is your temporary skill shortage visa. All right, now the basic eligibility, as you can see here in the upper right corner, nominated, you have the right skills to do the job, and you meet the relevant English language requirements. Well, in 407, you would also need to have your relevant English language. Okay, that could be your PTE, your OET, or your IELTS. Also, you would need that for your APRA registrations. All right, now, for migrant doctors coming from the Philippines, the usual TSS visa they give us is the short-term stream visa. So let's check the overview. Now, just like 407, when you're granted, you can stay up to 2 years in Australia. Okay? Other things like 4 years if you have an ITO, or if you're a Hong Kong passport holder, you may stay up to 5 years. That's it. But if you can see the cost here, it's way more expensive. All right, and these are the processing times. Then let's go with the tenures. Okay, be nominated as I've said. Okay, and have at least 2 years of relevant work experience in your nominated occupation or related field. So guys, this is where the 2 years apply. All right. So if you want to have a 482 visa, you must have a 2 year work experience in that relevant field. Okay. It says here with this visa, you can work up to 2 years to and travel Australia as many times as you want while the visa is valid, just like the 407. If eligible, apply for permanent residence, just like the 407. All right. Have the relevant skills assessment, blah, blah, blah. English requirements. So basically the same. Okay, it's just that it holds more power in terms of daily lives. Okay? In terms of like you wanted to buy a new phone, you wanted to have a loan, those things. So let's check out how much it'll cost us if we apply for a 482 visa. And mind you guys, the 482 visa is not only for doctors. Also, I have read people being granted 482 visas like nurses, IETs, etc., which requires people really to have 2 years of experience. But as doctors, as I've said in my previous video, that 2 year period does not preclude you from applying to jobs because you can apply as early as you get the PRC license. But then again, just a caution, of course, you would have to think, you have to think about your employers who they're gonna choose, those with more experience compared to you. All right, so just a couple of things. Say for example, lodging a visa today, not in Australia. You have one partner, you have one toddler. All right, PHP. Okay, so the price starts at 120,500 for just a 482 visa. It's very expensive, I know. All right, compared to the 29,000 plus that you would have to pay for the visa 407. But then again, I'm not an expert to this. I'm not particularly sure who wants the visa 482, who needs it, blah blah blah, what else or what particular job suits this best. But I'm just speaking about people, okay, from the medical field. So that's it. So for more questions, I guess you would have to ask one, your employer, two, if you have a migration agency or a migration lawyer. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much, you guys, for staying and listening to my video. And I'm hoping you guys got something good out of this. And that's about it. Good luck and see you on my next video. Bye bye.